Hey everybody, it's Jake from Pro in Winchester, Virginia, and today I want to talk about stories. Specifically stories in the context of rehab or pain, interactions that you would have as a clinician with a client that you work with. How many times has this happened to you? I'm going to be the clinician, and my buddy here, so he's going to be my patient. Hey man, so I see you've been having some knee pain, is that right? Yeah, it's been bothering me a little bit. Would you like to maybe talk about pain? I've done a ton of research on pain. Let me tell you. So, first of all, pain is... And so basically, nociception and pain are not the same thing. It happens to me a lot, and I'm not really proud of it. But anyways... what I'd like to talk about today is finding potentially more effective ways of communicating ideas or concepts to your patients. Because sometimes the super scientific and extremely verbose route is not the best way to go, especially when you're working with an 8-year-old. A while back, I was given an article to read by one of my colleagues, and it'll be right here. It's by Arthur Frank. And it talks about using narratives in kind of that therapeutic space as a way to better enhance that experience. And while this article dives into a lot more complex ideas and concepts, when we have this discussion about using stories and using narratives and metaphors, whether it's rehab or strength and conditioning. So I think that stories can be really effective in communicating an idea or a concept across to a client. One of the things that a lot of us try to do is to have someone come to self-discovery, right? Where they realize something for themselves instead of just having you explain everything to them. Because half the time they don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know what sticks, or what they hear. So I think stories can be a really great way of providing a concept or an idea in a way that's a little bit more approachable or digestible. So what I would like to do is maybe just give you guys some of the metaphors, stories that I use with my patients. Now keep in mind, this is in no way like the end-all be-all of patient communication. Some of these concepts and ideas are super reductionist, and I'm not saying that this is the entirety of my understanding of what pain is or how the human body works. These are just some ideas that you could use to communicate with someone if you're trying to get a point across. The complexity of patient interaction and all that stuff is way more than I can cover in this video, and I am not that smart. So I'm just going to give you things that I use in hopes that maybe it can help you in your practice. The first one. Have you guys seen the movie Inside Out? Is anyone else a Pixar fan? If you haven't, you should go watch this. I believe it's on Disney+, and I know that a lot of you probably have free time on your hands. When I'm trying to explain the complexity of pain and how it interacts within our bodies. Not that the body and the nervous system are separate. Don't get me started on that one. But when I'm trying to explain to someone, i.e. a high schooler, a college kid, younger person, or, a parent of a kid who's probably seen a Pixar movie, this is the metaphor that I use. Because in the movie Inside Out, it shows a collection of emotions or people that live inside of someone's brain, and they sit in front of a computer screen, and based on the information that comes into the body, what they see the person interacting with in the world, they make decisions on what to do. And a lot of times I will use this story to frame how I explain pain to people, right? To show the complexity of it, and that the concept of pain, of the pain experience, is based on so many different interactions with the world. So we're getting all of this input that's coming into our system, and the little people in our brain that aren't actually real, but for the sake of this metaphor, they totally are, then have to decide what to do with it, right? And so when we start adding in other contextual factors like previous injury history or fear avoidance or anything that could potentially affect that interpretation of the pain experience, things get kind of wonky, right? If you've had a previous ankle sprain, when that information is coming across that computer screen, someone's probably going to smack the pain button quicker than if you hadn't had one before. That's one way that I convey the complexity of pain, maybe to someone who seems like they watch a lot of Pixar movies. The next one has to do with sensitization. I know for some people that's kind of a touchy word. Again, these are just things in my brain that may trigger an interaction, a narrative, a story. So if perhaps we maybe are a little bit more sensitized, one of the stories that I tell people is the alarm system. Most cars nowadays, not that humans are cars, most cars nowadays have a burglar alarm or a car alarm, whatever you want to call it. The purpose of that alarm system is so that if someone were to break in and try to steal your radio or your CDs or wallet or purse or whatever it is, or even just jack your car, that it would alert other people to that scary, traumatic, bad thing that's happening in the hopes that we could collectively protect against it. In some ways, pain is kind of a protective mechanism in our bodies, and so its purpose, to some extent, is to help protect us from potential or actual threat or harm. Sometimes we can become a little sensitized, and maybe things that shouldn't really trigger that pain experience do. In that case, the story that I like to tell is, what if your alarm system was so sensitive or so good at detecting potential threats that every time a leaf fell on your windshield, it went off? It would be good, right? Like, you would be so protected, but at the same time, maybe it's too good at what it does and it doesn't pick up on what you really need it to do. Okay, so the third one, a lot of people will ask questions about posture. They'll be really concerned, sometimes even a little bit hypervigilant about having bad posture, because it's something that it tends to be very pervasive in our media, scrolling through Instagram. There's all these physical therapy posts about, like, fix your posture, it's so bad it's causing pain. Well, it could be, maybe, but the vast majority of the information that's out there in literature on posture right now is that it is probably not as important of a factor as what we used to think that it was. While it certainly can be something that we look at for occupational needs of, like, an industrial worker or a pianist, sometimes we maybe focus a little bit too much on it. So one of the stories that I use when people ask me about posture is this one. So take your finger, right? Bend it back. Not a big deal. But if I were to do this and hold it for like 5 hours, that would probably start to hurt. We can certainly achieve that position, and if we're there for a period of time that's tolerable and our body's used to doing that, that's not a big deal. But if we start to hold these positions or postures for a really long time that maybe exceeds the capacity that we have to do that, then maybe it can get uncomfortable. And then maybe what we want to do is not be in this for a long period of time. Maybe we change it. Maybe we go the other direction. Provide some sort of novel stimulus to change that pain experience that we have. The next one is the stereotypical cup analogy. I know a lot of people have seen it before. A lot of people probably use it. It's not something that I use all the time, but I think for some situations it can certainly be helpful. So essentially the cup analogy is this. You have a cup, right? And there's already some stuff inside of this capacity cup, if you will, where this represents what I'm able to do on a given day or a given week. This stuff that goes inside the cup are things that require my energy: exercise, work, stress, relationship issues, family problems, other stuff. So this is my Jake cup. Well, it's actually a Spider-Man cup, but this is my cup. This is my normal daily stuff that I'm used to dealing with. And let's just start to add in some outside stressors. Exercise, family issues, work stuff, not sleeping enough, not eating good. Do you see how it's like really, I'm going to spill this on my pants. And so we get to the point where we can't necessarily hold it anymore. And then if we start adding more stuff in, it spills on my pants. Typically, I use this story to discuss outside factors, because things like stress, work, family things, exercise, all that can maybe fill your cup up a little bit more than you had anticipated. So those are a few of the stories, analogies, metaphors, parables, fables, perhaps, that I would use in a clinical setting or working with any one of my patients or clients. Hopefully you guys get a little bit of something from that. I'll probably do some more videos in the future with more in-depth specific stories for different subjects, but these are just some of the ones that I use pretty commonly, and I thought that maybe they would be interesting to share. If you guys have some other stories that you find interesting or that you use personally, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. And then if you guys have any ideas for things that you'd like me to rant or vlog about, go ahead and put those in the comment section as well. So I'll go ahead and link the article that I talked about before in the description below, as well as I'll put some links in there to other really smart people that are really good at telling stories. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you guys tomorrow.